Hello, welcome to Profiles. I'm your host, Ed Hyland. Today we'll talk a little bit about research and a lot about people research and bringing them closer together. Our guest from the University of Central Florida's Office of Research and Commercialization is Palavor Vaidyanathan, or Vaidi as he's affectionately known around UCF, where he's an assistant vice president for research. With degrees in physics, mechanical and production engineering, materials science, and business administration, he concentrates on generating research links between university faculty and industry, plus increasing funding opportunities with state and federal resources. But in his spare time, if you will, he's hosted tour groups to his native India, where they've learned more about the culture and each other. Vaidi, welcome once again. Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me here.
I say tour groups, and that was just kind of a catch-all phrase because it's been much more than a tour group. You assembled a group of people and got the dollars to make it happen. Give us some idea of the genesis of this.
Yes. The Fulbright program, which is run by the federal government, actually allows us, universities, to take people from this culture to give them a cultural immersion experience in other cultures. This is a competitive program. You have to write a proposal first, outlining what you're planning to do. So a couple of years back, when I was discussing with the Office of International Studies, they were already taking such groups to South and Central America. Then I suggested we should do one for India because UCF has a lot of Indian students, a lot of Indian faculty, and India is coming up in the horizon where we need to learn more and more about India. Our school teachers and college professors have to learn more about India because we're getting more students. So every which way you look at it, I thought this would be a golden opportunity for us to actually expose some of our people to have a continued impact in the community by bringing back some cultural things and putting it in the classrooms both at the university level and also at the school level.
Now, how were the individuals chosen who participated in this trip?
First, I wrote the proposal to take them to several different places, to give them a series of lectures and some cultural experiences. Once we knew that we were going to get the money, we put out a notice of announcement to the university faculty and to the Orange County Public Schools. Each person who wanted to participate had to write what they would do with the knowledge that they would gain from this trip. So we had a number of applicants, and they would write as to what they would learn, how they would convert that into their classroom learning experience for their own students. And that is a requirement as part of the program, that the teachers who come and participate in this program have to develop lesson plans and other things that they can use in the classroom, and they also have to disseminate it to other teachers. So we had to look at these individuals who can actually utilize this knowledge, capable of converting that into classroom experience for other people, and also interacting with other people so that they can actually put this knowledge out for other people to.
Well, fortunately for us, many of the individuals took pictures and videotapes, and that's probably where we should start with talking more about the group. And show some of the video of this very diverse assembly of people who went over. Yes. Now, again, how many people were involved?
Well, there were a total of 16 people, including me. It was a truly diverse group. There were 8 women, 8 men. Ethnic variety was there. People of Asian origin, Hispanic, African American, some Indian blood, and Caucasians. And subject variety was there. Music, art, theater, graphic arts, costume design. So number of people from all different walks were there to actually participate in this program, and that itself was a tremendous opportunity for people to interact because a lot of new things came out of such interaction.
I was going to say, you've got a group of people who just, if they were sitting in a room together, would possibly and quite likely learn and be able to interact and come up with some wonderful ideas, and now you take that group and you put them in what to them is a foreign culture.
Yes. There are a couple of things that happened. One thing, out of the 16 people, 8 of them had never left the country. So this was their first foreign experience, tour experience.
First trip abroad out of the United States.
Abroad. And some of them had even not left the county. That is how protected they were. They were very close-knit families and they were living here. And 4 more of them had never gone to Asian countries. So for them, for all these people, it was a totally different experience. To make the experience much more palatable and ease the transition, what we did at UCF was to have a series of orientation programs where we taught these people about the Indian culture, music, clothing, food and stuff like that. We had something like 8 sessions, and 3 of those sessions were full day sessions from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Saturdays, where we brought different people to give them different lectures on different topics. Also, we had to teach them how to be careful and mindful of things in other culture, both culturally and safety-wise.
Certainly, the gestures or the words that you may not wish to say,
yes.
or make sure that you don't get them said improperly along the way. Now, what you have the group together, and they've gone through this process, this immersion process
yes.
here in the States, of even some Saturday sessions trying to learn about the Indian culture, and you're all on a plane, you head on over there. Where do you start? I mean, how do you introduce this group to the Indian culture?
Well, before that, something very critical happened. When we flew out of JFK, we flew from Orlando to JFK, and when we flew out of JFK, an hour and a half into the flight had to turn back because there was a medical emergency. So I was really concerned because this could put tremendous stress on people. I was going around and talking to every individual to make sure that they are all okay. But although the flight was delayed, we changed planes in Paris, and we arrived 2 or 3 hours late in Mumbai. And this is early in the morning in Mumbai. Mumbai is a large city, but they didn't get to see anything, which was probably very good because it's a very crowded city. And we went to this exclusive place called the Indian Institute of Technology, and which is in the middle of a rainforest region. And we were housed in excellent surroundings where they didn't get this cultural shock immediately. That was the first thing. The second thing, Delta did a fantastic thing for us. They realized that these people were stressed. They picked out that I was going and talking to all these people. They came to me and took special care that these people will be taken care of properly because I had already talked to some of the flight attendants. And as we landed, they did another wonderful thing. They actually announced welcoming the Fulbright scholars to India. That was how it started. So it was a tremendous welcome thing for most of the people. It
was a personal welcome to the country. Now, how long were you? Now, Mumbai. Tell us a little bit about the city and.
Mumbai is the largest city in India, largest in terms of business. It's a group of islands which have now been converted into one large city. Very heavily, densely populated, 12 million population. But where we were at the Indian Institute of Technology, which is a federal school, very well known all over the world for its education in science and technology. But the people I was taking, they were all in arts and humanities, but they also had a very good arts and humanities department. That is who we dealt with. So we stayed in Mumbai for 5 days, but of that 5 days, we were inside campus for 3 days. So slowly, I took them every evening out to just introduce them to the city. And one evening, after 8 o'clock in the evening, I put them all in air-conditioned taxi cabs. We took a drive through the city. That was their first experience into the city. And then the next day, we went for a city tour to see the complete city.
Okay. Now, was part of the education, was this, I guess, the acclimation portion of the visit, or is this, are they actually becoming immersed in the culture pretty much from the time they're on campus?
Both. From the very first day, you are immersed because the food habits are different, the food is different, the way of life is different, and you can't separate that out. Plus, they had lectures on the very first afternoon, welcoming lectures from the faculty members in humanities and social sciences, where I had arranged lectures to cover a whole variety of topics: the history, the local culture, understanding of the culture, and political scenes, and something like transportation, which is a very big problem in Mumbai. And slowly people realized I-4 is not that big of a problem when you see such huge problems. So it was a cultural thing together with learning processes for these people.
So they're getting, for lack of a better term, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, they're getting the full
Definitely.
Spectrum.
Because I wanted them to get a good feel for India. These people are teaching about India in their classrooms For them, the cultural immersion is very important on multiple levels. First of all, they need to understand. Second, they need to assimilate that and be able to convert that into classroom experience for the people that they are teaching. So it is very important. I felt it was very important for them to understand the entire spectrum.
Now, getting to some more of the pictures that we have along the way here, at what point did they begin to really absorb some of the song, the music, the cultural aspects? Where did that part come in? Was that early on, or was that later into the trip?
I had it at every place that we went. In Mumbai, we had a demonstration of the North Indian system of music. And in Chennai, we had a South Indian system of music and musical instruments. We also had a dance performance in Chennai. And we saw a puppet show in the northwestern part of India. So we had cultural performances all over the place.
It was showed the group just a second ago, which, as we were talking about, is a very diverse group of individuals, and they're essentially like tourists,
yes,
in a sense, going around. Now, were these classroom settings, or are these settings, and we'll be showing some of the performances and such, but is that in a theater setting, is that in a home setting, or was it all of the above?
All of the above. For the lectures and things like that, we were in classroom settings. For the demonstrations and the performances, sometimes we were in homes, sometimes we were in actual theaters performance, sometimes it was like a ad hoc stage made somewhere. So they got a variety of experiences from that too.
I see. Well, if we have that tape available, I'd really like to give the audience just a little preview. We've got about a minute of video. It's 3 different clips of a performance. There's a song, a dance, and I believe a story that is told. And of course, we Americans, most of us will not understand it, but I'd like you to kind of explain, after we see the clip, exactly what we've seen and how that impacted the people who went along on this Fulbright trip.
Definitely.
Two varieties of notes.
Now, the enrichment there, I mean, the wonderful costumes and the sound, that seems so foreign, but at the same time, when I had the luxury of seeing much more of the tape, and it is relaxing. After a couple of moments, you listen to the music and the singing, and it doesn't become foreign. It becomes very, very relaxing, and you say, I don't understand it, but it has an effect on me.
Yes. Before the performances, there were 3 pieces there. The first was the South Indian system of music, where there was a vocalist, there's a drum, and also an accompaniment with the violin, which is tuned and played differently from the Western system. So they got an introduction to that, and there was a small performance. The second piece that you saw is a dance drama, and here there was costume design, storytelling, and this is from ancient language of Tamil, in the South Indian language of Tamil, plus it's a religious story. And it was wonderful because I told these performers not to tell them the story. So they went through this miming thing. As soon as we finished, I asked the participants, did you understand the story? No problem. They were able to catch the story. One person actually went and explained the entire story, and that was a perfect story. The third piece you saw is called Vaidyanathan, which is a miming type of dance from the southern part of India. There again, costume, storytelling. So all these things, they had this total cultural immersion for people. There were people in music, there were people from other art and other areas. So they were able to pick their own individual things. And there was a costume designer who actually sat there and drew pictures of all these costumes on plain pieces of paper.
I was going to say, the reaction, obviously you are a student when you are in this group and you're watching all of these things, but at the same time, these are professors, these are people who are going to turn this knowledge around. So like the person who's taking sketches, how is it being translated as they learn? Are they putting it into notebooks? Some I know are taking pictures, are drawing sketches?
There were multiple ways of doing this thing. Some people, as soon as they see this thing, when they come back to their rooms, they would write entire documents of what they saw. There are 2 or 3 people who did that. One person did a blog on the internet. That was one way. 3 people were videotaping many of these performances and lectures. And we had lecture notes and things like that. And in addition, to reinforce, every evening after we get back together, after we have dinner, we will have a session of going and recapping what they saw. So they had questions. In addition, in all these cases, I had experts available to them, so that as soon as the performance is over or a lecture is over, there were some interactive sessions where they could ask questions and questions were being answered. So they learned at every possible level.
And with such a diverse group, I would imagine even within the group, you would have different interpretations of what they had just seen or heard.
Exactly. And of course, experts would come up in their own field. There are experts. Art person would come and explain the art forms. The costume person would say how great the costume was, so that sensitized all the individuals who were not in those fields to completely understanding. So it was a very, very rich learning experience, which we normally not do in any setting. If there is a chemistry class, all the people are chemistry, all the physics people. We do not intermingle even in sciences. So this might be another way to actually bring the education to a next level. That is something that I learned in the process.
So you learned a little along the way as well.
Definitely.
Now, was there time for someone with an interest to perhaps learn the song or some of the storytelling or the dance?
Yes. Particular people came to me and asked for this thing. I will talk about one thing. There's a music teacher, was a 3rd grade music teacher from Orange County. She came to me and said, I want to learn at least 1 or 2 songs to be sung in Carnatic music, the South Indian singing style. So I actually made arrangements with my sister, who is a music teacher, to come and give her private lessons for the days when we were in Chennai. And she taught her the system of music and 2 songs, which now I understand she is teaching to her kids here.
So the ripples, as you will, from this trip are being felt among our young people and others here in Central Florida.
In addition to that person, every other person also had a special request which I was able to fulfill, because my entire family actually participated in this entire process. All my siblings, I have 5 siblings, all of them participated. My brothers-in-law and my sister-in-law, they all participated. In addition, quite a few friends in Chennai helped me, because in addition to these lectures and the other performances we had, I wanted to give them a cultural immersion experience. So for one day, each of the participants was picked up by a family. They went to 15 different families. These families were drawn from ordinary people. Some of them were businessmen, bankers, teachers, you name it. We had people, all kinds of people in that, retirees. They took these people into their homes and spent a whole day with the participants, and we came back together to actually share our experiences.
How was your home? What did you learn along the way about everyday life?
Everyday life. In addition, there is something that was very special for me that happened. I was able to take all the participants to my home in Chennai, where I had lived for a number of years. They met my mother, and I had planted a mango tree. This is a very special story. My mom had picked mangoes from this tree to be given to every participant, and that gift they received from my mother, and they were all able to interact with my mother. Then my uncle, who was 96 at the time, wanted to see all of them. They went and visited him, and he gave them a special gift of Indian coins to each and every one of them. Those 2 things were very special for all the participants, especially because both of them passed away after this visit.
But their spirit still lives on through this special meeting.
Yes,
that
definitely.
Is something. Wanted to continue on because we're going to run short of time. There's so much to talk about, but one of the key things I think for anyone going to a different country is to not only see the people but also what they have built, what they've accomplished. And we have a video which shows a little bit of the architecture and some of the things the participants were able to see. Where are we here?
This is a temple in the southern part of India. All the temples have huge entranceways to go through. They were renovating this thing. That is what you are seeing inside here. We went inside the temple. You can see the figurines that were all over the place.
Beautiful.
Inside the temple.
How old is this temple?
This temple is more than 1,000 years old. It's a very old temple, one of the oldest temples. You can see the carvings in the granite carvings.
Is it still an active temple? Is it
These
still
are
used for religious services?
most of the temples that we visited are active temples.
But yet they are open for
They're open
groups
for
to come
people
in.
to come and see.
Are they able, the participants, to not only see the architecture but to understand the people of 1,000 years ago who created it and why they created it? And
Yes, every temple has a story, so we had people who were telling them the story, so they were able to understand how people lived 1,000 years ago and how things have not changed much.
I was going to ask about that because again, for those of us who have not had the opportunity to go over, you wonder about cultures that have been here for so very long and what changes have taken place, not only in the people but the architecture and such. And there are some very strong roots that have not changed in India.
India is one of the oldest, longest living cultures. I believe it has stayed that way because the original culture was very accommodating, and when people came in, they accepted them for what they are. So St. Thomas has come to India, Vasco da Gama has come to India, Alexander the Great has come to India, Hyun Sang from China has come to India. Every religion of the world is found in India because the original religion of India, Hinduism, accepted all these other religions as part of reality, and they accepted. And that is somewhat akin to the United States in terms of accepting other cultures. That is why we are able to prosper. And the culture has stayed because it is able to assimilate this thing, transform itself continuously.
The melting pot of Asia.
Yes.
We're going to run out of time, but I wanted to talk about the students and the chance to meet some students at a local school.
Yes. We went to 3 different schools, 3 different systems, a Montessori system, a private school. This is a Montessori system school, and one thing special about this school, this is a school that I started my education in. And this Montessori system, because there are no lines of demarcation, it's a special system, which I now see from this program how important it is. So the teachers had an opportunity to talk one-on-one with some of the students at 3 different schools, which was great.
Any chance some of those students might come here to
They
Central Florida?
They might end up in the United States.
Since the lines of communication
Yes.
have been open there.
Yes. In fact, a couple of those teachers might also come here on a reverse Fulbright grant. That is also going on.
So it does work the other way as well?
Otherwise,
Okay.
also.
And would UCF be a sponsor of that essentially?
Yes,
for the
UCF
people to
will
come
be a
in?
sponsor.
I see.
We don't have to spend money. Fulbright will give the money, but we have to still sponsor them.
I see. Well, again, I don't want to run out of time, but possibly the one thing that everyone in the United States knows of is the fantastic monument, Taj Mahal. Monument to they call it the love, because of its history. But we wanted to show just a couple of pictures. That was toward the end of the tour?
That was
it?
on the very last day. I arranged it in such a way. In addition to visiting other places, on the very last day at sunrise, at 6 a.m., we were at this Taj Mahal. This was the crowning part of this entire trip. We saw not only this building at sunrise, I also asked all these participants after they had taken all their pictures and things like that to go and just sit in front of this fantastic monument and take a look at this thing and reflect not only on the Taj Mahal itself but this entire trip. We were getting ready to leave India. What kind of impact it has made. Of course, they cannot understand the full impact at that time, but this was a kind of a culminating thing where they were able to see this huge monument, beautiful thing, walking bare feet on marble, because you're not supposed to wear shoes there, to actually see this monument.
Well, it is a grave site, and Raj built it for his great love of his life.
Yes.
And that's a special moment I know that you had. And in the last few seconds we've got, we wanted to talk about something that was very tragic, but at the same time inspirational in a way, and that was the tsunami of not so long ago.
Tsunami that hit at the end of the year.
You went to the areas, obviously, before the tsunami,
Yes,
and took pictures, and now there's the added impact of knowing that much of what you saw is not with us anymore.
Yes. We were on the beaches actually where the tsunami hit, and we had pictures taken of all the fishermen living there. Those people are all gone. But I don't want to end in a negative note. This has actually brought people together. The largest amount of money that has flown for charitable purposes, this is the first time it has happened, and people have stopped taking money. So there are positive things that happened. Personally, this group has actually donated money for schools, to children, to buy books and stuff like that. And the continuing impact this thing is having, because India is now in the forefront because of the tsunami and also because of the other things. This has been a great trip for all these people to bring back some cultural events, and personally for me it has been a great opportunity to take people from here to my other home.
Well, just in our few minutes, I think we've learned an awful lot, so I can imagine, just imagine what 15 people learned over some 28 days being immersed in the culture of India.
Yes, we had 38 lectures and 46 site visits, and it was a fantastic trip.
And a few recipes, I understand, came out of it. A few Indian recipes as well,
Yes,
which we will have to share at a future moment.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for coming by and sharing all this with us, and
Thank you very much
appreciate it.
for having me. This was a great trip.
And that's Profiles for this time around. My name is Ed Highland. Thank you so much for joining us. Had a great time. Come back and see us again.